Hi there, my dear learners. My name is Teacher Shaira, and welcome to another English class with me. For today's lesson, we are going to learn about how to organize information from secondary sources in preparation for writing, reporting, and similar academic tasks in collaboration with others. Before we begin our lesson for today, don't forget to subscribe on my channel. Ring the notification bell for more updates. Like, share, and comment in this video. Because learning is bliss, learn with Teacher Shaira. A lot of us are very fond and familiar in writing creatively through literary text. But in writing an informational report, it is important for us to utilize the use of different sources of information, since informational articles are mostly based on facts. Now, we have learned from our previous videos that information can come from different sources such as printed, broadcast, and online or digital materials. But did you know that a source of information can also be classified into primary and secondary source? Now, what are these classifications? And why is it important for us to identify our source in writing any academic text? Well, you see, an informational report or any academic text should be based on facts. And since we cannot invent facts, it is a must for us to look for a reliable source. Now, what is an information source? According to the Library and Information Science Network, an information source is a source of information for somebody or anything that might inform a person about something or provide knowledge. It may be observations, people, speeches, documents, pictures, organizations, and etc. Now, as what I have told you a while ago, an information source can be classified into primary or secondary source. Let us first discuss what are primary sources. Primary sources are original records from the past recorded by people who were either involved in the event, who witnessed the event, or knew the persons involved in the event. They can also pertain to objects, artifacts, or visual evidence that give us an idea about what people alive at the time saw or thought about the event. To keep it simple, primary sources are first-hand information, direct evidence, and original materials. Here are some examples of primary sources. We have here original documents such as diaries, speeches, manuscripts, letters, interviews, records, eyewitness accounts, and autobiographies. We also have here empirical scholarly works such as research articles, clinical reports, case studies, and dissertations. Creative works such as poetry, music, video, photography, and paintings. And lastly, we have here a set of historical artifacts. Now let us discuss what are secondary sources. Secondary sources are second-hand published accounts which are created after the primary source. Secondary sources offer an analysis, interpretation, or a restatement of primary sources and are considered to be persuasive. They often involve generalization, synthesis, interpretation, commentary, or evaluation in an attempt to convince the reader or the creator's argument. They also attempt to describe or explain primary sources. To understand it way better, here is an example. This is a painting called Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, which he drew in 1889. This painting is a primary source. On the other hand, an article written to interpret the said painting is what we call a secondary source, since it attempts to explain or analyze the primary source. Here are some examples of secondary sources. We have here books, general references, articles, and documentaries that synthesize information on a topic. We also have here synopsis and descriptions of artistic works, reviews, it can be a movie review or a book review, and essays that evaluate or interpret something. To summarize this lesson, primary sources are first-hand or contemporary account of an event or topic. They offer original thoughts on the subject. On the other hand, secondary sources are analysis, commentary, or interpretation of the primary sources. Now, to test if you have understood our lesson, let us have a quick activity. Get your pen and paper ready. Identify if each situation shows the use of primary or secondary source. For our first situation, we have here, a girl found a box of letters written by a soldier to his wife and children during the Civil War. Are those letters a primary source or secondary source? The correct answer is primary source. Now for number 2, we have here, Iris went to the library and found original photographs of different Filipino tribes. Are these photographs primary or secondary source? Very good. These are also primary source. Number 3. Our town has a festival each year. In 1999, a newspaper reporter wrote an article on the celebration and festival. I found that 1999 newspaper at the library with that article. Is this an example of a primary source or a secondary source? The answer is a primary source. Number 4. Yesterday, my brother Ivan wrote a story inspired from Vincent van Gogh's sunflower painting. Is it a primary source or a secondary source? The answer is a secondary source. Now for the last number, we have here, one famous painter in the 16th century was Leonardo da Vinci. He painted a special picture called Mona Lisa. That original painting is hanging in a museum in France. The correct answer is very good, primary source. Did you get all the answers correctly? Very good, you are amazing. Now this is all for today, my dear learners. I hope you have learned something. Thank you and God bless.